Hello ladies and gentlemen of Art of Conquest, it's Smash Mode. So if you're watching this, you have downloaded Art of Conquest. A very enjoyable, real-time strategy game. When you begin the game, you will have 3 heroes to choose from. Your first hero is Avalon, a human support hero. Next we have your tank, Rufio. Very good at taking damage, does not do much for the rest of the team though. And we have your control wizard, Avril. She is very good at stopping enemies from doing pretty much anything. Who will you choose? It's important to note that once you make this choice, you will never get to make it again. Every server that you join, that will be the hero that you start with forever. And here's a quick example of this. We're gonna try heading over to another server very quickly. Let's try 76. And as you can see, we no longer get to choose a hero. So make that choice very carefully. I do hope one day in the future they will change that so you have the option to select your starting hero on each server, but currently that is not an option. And before we begin the game, let's start off by changing our name. That can be done in the top left corner. This will help people identify you. I tend to not answer when a new player sends me a direct message. It's time for your very first battle. Let's go over these troops very quickly. These spearmen are very powerful
horses
against
and
larger
scorpions.
units. Not too
Get
effective
owned by
against
small things.
Your archers are very good
Strong
at focusing
focused fire, weak
on
against damage.
on a set target. During your first battle, it's going to help you direct your move. For each hero, it'll be a different move. Congratulations, you have finished your first battle. At the end, it'll show you a report of what you have lost and what the enemy has lost. How'd you do? The base amount of experience for fighting a monster will always be 1,000. We have completed our first quest. It'll give you a description of your next quest. And we got some more archers. And next up we have our lizardmen. Lizardmen are strong against cavalry and weak against most ground units. Now all units that are humanoid have the option to run away from morale loss. This is no different than if they die on the victory screen. Units that run away are essentially dead or injured. So now we get a little bit more XP and a few more units. Next, we're going to have our first little enemy camp. So, as units are having the morale lowered, you will see the little shield flashing. See how the little 1 on the dwarves is flashing? That is letting you know that their morale is shattering. Now, one thing to note is the little barriers. Your units will tend to go for it before they go for other things. I do not understand why, but it's just the way it is. And at this point, we're getting very close to gaining our first level. And a little bit more loot. The small ones will always be 30. The larger portions of loot will be 100 and even as high as 500. And finally have some horsies. Horsies, also known as cavalry, are very powerful against almost all smaller ground units. They are only weak against spearmen, and the lizard men we fought earlier are quite strong against them as well. One thing to note is you have to not let them get too far ahead. You'll have to put them in a formation in a way that keeps them closer to the group. I recommend a couple rows back.
That was way too easy.
And with that battle, we are going to gain our first level. We will go over skill point distribution a little bit later. And now we attain Avalon, my personal favorite, a very strong human support hero, who used to have this amazing ability where he could make peasants for more gold, but unfortunately that ability is going away in the near future. It is also important to note that Rufio will always get Avalon, and Avril will always get Rufio. When you pick Avalon as your first hero, he may get Rufio or Avril. Before we begin our first boss battle, grab these extra pikemen. Well, one pikeman, one marcher.
Every little
Never
bit
hurts
helps.
though to have a few more units. For this boss, I like to get the cavalry in there. Have them take most of the damage.
Hope is eternal. Battle. We make our stand here.
Those pikemen are gonna do a lot of extra damage to them.
Our troops need help.
Now that was a victory, but we did lose a lot of pikemen. This is the perfect time to show you that you always have the option to try as many times as you like in PvE. All you have to do is click the little retry button there. So let's say this time we try it
Is eternal.
without the pikemen.
I believe in your judgment.
Let's see how that would turn out.
Archers, attack!
Looking pretty good.
Long live Silverwing!
Don't ever be afraid to press that retry button. That was the difference between losing nothing and 10 pikemen that we'll never get back. And now we get our loot again. Throughout the map, you're going to find mercenary camps. For a little bit of gold, and sometimes a rare resource as well, you will get usually some pretty cool units. And a lot of those units
Special
cannot be bought
edition
by any of the current races' buildings.
To battle! Justice stands by my
Here we
side.
have our next boss fight.
I believe in your judgment. For silver!
Now, if your first hero was Rufio, he's very good at being a distraction for bosses.
Archers, attack! Die!
Ooh, we lost a few units. But, for the sake of this video not taking forever, let's push forward. get a few more units. We're going to skip ahead real quick. Now, once you have cleared all those monsters, you will have made it to your first little living area. Let's go over what a few of these buildings are. You have your magic stream. You're going to upgrade this to increase the amount of elixir you get per hour. Next, we have our residence. This creates gold, which is going to be essential if you choose to remain human. Next, we have our sawmill, which creates lumber. The fort is where we're going to get our pikemen. These are the units that we went over briefly. They do very good damage to those very large units, such as the scorpions, spiders, and cavalry. Then you're going to have your barracks. These units are very well balanced against ground units.
Meat shields.
Decent damage, decent defense. And as you gain them up in rank through silver and gold, these are going to be a very powerful front line. Archers,
Make it rain arrows.
you're going to want to have a good steady supply of archers to back up that front line. They'll be produced here. Now I wanted to go over the Patron very briefly with you, and also I'm going to be using it to kind of speed things up on this server. Now for $1, you get 3,000 Lenari over 30 days, 90 stamina potions, and the most useful, in my opinion, is this 10-minute rush. It's amazing how far that can go in the beginning. I'm going to show you very briefly a couple advantages of a patron player, and I also enjoy free to play as well. It is quite the challenge. But let me show you that very quickly. Any building that's under 10 minutes, boom, all done. Any units you need to make, if it is under 10 minutes,
Instant
all done.
gratification.
Now, one of the early issues you're going to come into is being low on the wood resource. So it's time for us to start exploring. Now what I recommend you do, before you even attack any of these little monsters, is we need to find our first mines. Hero Command will increase the amount of troop capacity, and any skill that a hero has that increases stat points of units, that point will increase that as well. So let's see if we can find one of those mines. Here we are. There's your wood mine. Now on top of it giving you 720 wood, that is also going to increase your amount of trophies, which is very important for increasing rank and changing your race. And with that, that is going to conclude part 1 of the beginner's guide. In part 2, we're going to go over
and leaving a house.
how to join a group of cities,
Basic battle formations.
how to change your
Dwarf
race,
or lich.
and how to
ranking up
increase your
like a
trophy level
boss.
as quickly as possible. I thank you all very
Smash
much for
mode.
watching, and I hope you have a great day.